Okay, it's 9:30 on 7/17/2021, and Michelle and I are discussing uh, Genesis chapter 2, verse 9 through 14. Okay, and in our discussion, we've talked about uh, in verse 9, God takes one verse to describe that He makes all sorts of trees grow up out of the ground, and they produce delicious fruit, and they're beautiful. And in the middle, He places the tree of life and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And then in the next verse, verse 10, says there's a river that flows from the land that waters the garden and then divides into four branches. Verse 11 and 12 describes one of the branches. The first branch, called Pinish. Is that how you say that, babe? Pishon? Pinish? Pishon. And it flows around the entire land of Havilah, where gold is found. In verse 12 it says the gold of that land is exceptionally pure. Aromatic resin and onyx stone are also found there. And then the next verse describes the second branch, called Gihon, and it flows around the entire land of Cush. And then verse 14 describes the third and the fourth branch. The third branch being the Tigris, and the fourth branch being the Euphrates. Okay, so I wanted to take time to actually record this so I wouldn't forget what we're talking about. So we started discussing verse 10, okay, and kind of breaking it down. So we're discussing the watering of the garden, and what is the garden a symbol of. Okay, so in the Bible many times it talks about a sea being many people. Okay, so the garden, I believe, in this particular, what God is showing me right here, is true believers. Okay, and the river is watering true believers as a garden. Okay, so the closer you are to the river, which is God giving you an infinite highway of insight and knowledge that you get only from being extremely close to the river. Okay? And what was the other thing that I said, babe? Or we were talking about the garden. Oh, crap. We were talking about what? That's why I wanted to record this. So we wouldn't forget.
Proximity to the river.
The proximity to the river.
The trees that are closest to the river.
Well, that's what I was just saying. The closer you are to the river, the more you get fed that.
Then you're talking about the. I said something about the John 15. You know, he references believers as have it being branches that are cut off, which dates back to back to the garden and being a tree, because it talks about you'll know the true believers by the fruit that they bear.
Right. So the watering of the garden, I believe in this particular verse, is true believers, and then the river being God or Jesus. Okay, and then it's describing it, and then it divides into 4 branches. And I find it very interesting here, sweetheart, that the first branch is described in 2 verses, okay, and it takes 3 verses total. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, 4 verses to describe the 4 branches, but the first 2 verses are describing one of the first branch, which is Pishon, right? You listening to me, baby? Okay. And listen to how it's described. It's saying that it's where gold is found. Okay? And the gold in that land is exceptionally pure. Aromatic resin and also onyx stone are also found here. Okay? But the other 3 branches, it doesn't describe them in the same way. The second branch, it describes as it flows around the entire land of Cush. The third branch, called the Tigris, flows east of the land of Ashar. And the fourth branch is called the Euphrates. Okay, so what is that a symbol of to you? The one that talks about the first branch is talking about it has gold in it, all in it, and that gold is exceptionally pure. It also has aromatic resin and onyx stone in it. So that's the only one of the 4 branches that actually describes in that kind of manner as being something as pure, being pure. It doesn't describe any of the other ones in any kind of fashion as far as any kind of stone or gold or silver or anything like that. It doesn't say anything like that.
It makes me, like I said earlier, it makes me think of heaven on earth, which is true, because in Revelation 21, it says, showed me the holy city Jerusalem descending out of the heaven of God. It shone with the glory of God and sparkled like a precious stone. Onyx is a type of stone. And we references the streets of gold, and the angel who talked to me held his hand with a golden measuring stick to measure the city, its gates and its walls.
Okay, so what is gold symbolizing in Revelations right there, and also right here?
The
What
wall,
is it?
well, before you said it, the wall of the city was built on a foundation of stone inlaid with 12 precious stones. The first was jasper, sapphire, the third was agate, emerald, and the fifth was onyx. So it even describes onyx being part of the walls of as one of the walls in heaven.
So,
and the main street was pure gold, as clear as glass.
So this aromatic resin, what would that be a symbol of?
I don't know what that is. But if you think about clear as glass, would that not be the waters and the
Clear as glass.
clear as glass? Well, what is water? Clear as glass.
It's clear.
So that it
But
would
what
be a
is
type
gold? But what is gold? It's a symbol of what?
purity.
Being pure. Okay, so it's describing 4 branches. Okay, but it only describes one as being pure. Okay, and of a precious stone that is described in the walls of the New Jerusalem. Okay, in Revelations, what chapter is that?
21.
21, verse what?
The wall starts with chapter 18 or verse 18.
18
Well,
through
really 15. 15 through 21 talks about the pure gold as clear as glass.
right, but the onyx stone is where?
That's in verse 19 of chapter 21.
So in Revelations 21:19, it talks about onyx stone that is included in the walls of
the wall of the city of the foundation stones. Yep.
the foundation stones of the walls of the New Jerusalem. Okay, which is heaven on earth. Okay, so isn't this cool? All right, so on the way to eat dinner tonight, God reveals to me in an instant. We're listening to this video that I made 2 days ago, okay, that describes the that I'm talking about the tree of life versus the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And as I'm 4 minutes and 33 seconds into it, I start talking about the river and the 4 branches, and I don't know the meaning of what that is when I'm making this video. And we're listening to this video as we're going to dinner tonight, and just before it gets to the part or to the 4 minute and 33 second part of this video, the time on the van was 6:17, and we were stopped at a red light, and right in front of the red light is a storefront, and in the phone number has 617 in it. So there's 2 617s in the same picture that I captured, and I was going, oh, that's crazy. So we drive on down the road, and then in the video I start talking about the river and the 4 branches, and I don't know what the meaning is. And as I say that in the video, right after I say that, God just says, here's the meaning right here. And I went, oh my goodness, and I paused it. And I told Michelle and Levi what God just revealed to me. And basically what he revealed to me is that the 4 branches are your right hand, your left hand, your right leg, and your left leg or left foot. So right hand, left hand, right foot, left foot. Okay, so I can't remember exactly where it is, but there's somewhere in the New Testament. I can't remember. It's not coming to me right now at this time, but it talks about if your right hand sins, cut it off, or something like that. Is that not right, sweetie? Uh, and if your left hand sins, cut it off.
Matthew 5:30.
Matthew 5:30. Okay, so in other words, don't continue sinning. Cut that sin out of your life.
It's better for you to lose one part of your body than the whole body be thrown into hell.
There you go. Perfect example of what God downloaded to me as well. So the four branches are your hands and your feet. Okay? So the river flows from the garden, from the center of the garden, which is where the tree of life is, and also the tree of knowledge of good and evil. So what I described to Michelle on the way to dinner was, you can't, one side of your body, like your right hand and your right foot, can't be righteous, which is getting fed from the tree of life, and then your left hand be, and your left foot be in sin. It can't work that way. It has to be one or the other. Okay? And as I got finished saying that, we're pulling up to another red light, and there's a truck that has 832 on it, and the car right in front of it has 832. It's a little sports car. Okay? And I capture both of those to be able to look back at it. So we get to dinner, okay? And we're kind of talking about this as we're going to dinner. And we get to dinner and sitting there. I think we'd ordered our food at that point, and I looked down at a notification on my phone, because I had forgotten about at this point I had forgotten about the 617 and the 832, but the notification had come in at 617, and I went, oh crap. So I start looking that verse up. And I get to what was that? Romans 6:17. Okay? And it says, thank God, once you were slaves to sin, but now you are wholeheartedly obey this teaching we have given you. Okay? And then verse 18 says, now you're free from your sin, your slavery to sin, and you have become slaves to righteous living, which is exactly what God had downloaded to me in my head as I had said that about the river and what the branches are. Because I didn't know what the branches were at the time. Okay? And even to back this up even further, okay? Remember I said, just as soon as I had said that I had told Michelle and Levi what God had said, I see two 832s back to back on two different vehicles, car tags. Okay? So I knew what John 8:31 was, and that says, Jesus said to the people who believed him, you are truly my disciple if you remain faithful to my teaching. But here's the verse 32, which is really, really, really cool. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And I went, oh my goodness. That absolutely blew my mind that before we even had hardly listened to any of that video that I made a couple of days ago, God shows me the 6:17. Okay? And when we get into the video 4:33 into the video, it talks about the river, and after I finish telling them about the river, God says to me, and you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. I mean, immediately after I get finished telling Michelle about about the meaning of the 4 branches. So let's go back to the 4 branches. Okay. Let me get back to Genesis 2, verse 10 and 11. Again, 11 and 12 talks about this one branch. Okay. So God is described in the Bible as what, sweetie? What is God described as in the Bible? A right arm, a right hand. Jesus sits on the right hand of God. Okay? So, what would that be? On a human's body, that would be the right hand or right arm. This particular branch that it's describing is going to be the right hand. Okay? As being pure. See it? You don't see it? No? God is described as being the right hand that saves, or his strong arm is not too weak. It says in Isaiah, remember? Huh? It's his right arm that it's talking about. Okay? That is a description of God's right arm or right hand, or someone's hand being pure. Okay? Or even better yet, maybe describing it this way: a certain group of people that are true believers have more insight, or maybe is more pure or more righteous. Like, for an example of Moses or Abraham or Paul or or any of the prophets that it talks about in the Bible, okay, that did a great work for God in their lives. Okay, those people were given more insight. Why? They were purer than others. Okay, same thing with a right hand or right arm, as described as God as being more pure. Okay, more powerful. Okay, got it? All right. But then the other 3 branches, it really doesn't say a whole lot about them. It just says the second branch, it talks about it flowed around the entire land of Cush. Okay? So the second, third, and fourth branch, it really doesn't talk a whole lot about them, which is in verse 13 and 14 of Genesis chapter 2. But I just find that, and I think that second branch is going to be like your left hand or left arm. Okay? But then the third branch and the fourth branch would be like your right foot and your left foot. Okay? And all of these branches are considered being able to do good, or they're considered to be able to do evil, based on if you are thinking righteous, or focusing on Jesus and God, are you focusing on what everybody else focuses on of the world, which would be anything else other than God or Jesus? Your family, your kids, your house, your money, your job, your hobbies, and all of those sorts of things. Your favorite football team, or whatever. I just thought that was kind of cool, and wanted to kind of get these thoughts on record with Michelle here. And you got anything you want to add to that before we end this? No? Okay. All right. I think that kind of describes what we were discussing in a little bit more detail. I'm going to see if I can add this to a video or something and get it up on YouTube for everybody to be able to hear this discussion. Okay. That's all I got. Bye.